Some rooms hold more than just furniture and forgotten dust. They hold voices, secrets, echoes of people who once dreamed, once cried, once mattered. This is a story about a locked door, a forgotten name, and the kind of silence that stretches across generations. It's about a granddaughter who opened a room, and in doing so, unlocked everything her family tried to forget. Welcome to Soulful Tales. If this story finds its way into your heart, please consider subscribing, liking, or leaving a comment. Now step quietly. Some rooms speak best in silence. Mara stood at the front gate, fingers trembling on the rusted latch. The house looked smaller now, though nothing had changed. Same peeling white paint, same creaking porch swing, same garden path that Grandma used to line with little white stones. But the absence inside made everything feel hollow. She hadn't been here in 5 years. It wasn't because she didn't care. Life had just accelerated. College in another state, her first real job in publishing. A breakup she still couldn't quite name as heartbreak. All these things had created distance, the kind that grows silently, like ivy. Then came the call. Your grandmother passed in her sleep last night. That was it. No warning. No time to say goodbye. Now Mara was back, not just to grieve, but to sort through decades of memories. Alone, the door creaked as she entered. Dust motes danced in the sunlight, the smell of lavender and paper hit her immediately, and she had to bite her lip to keep from crying. She moved slowly, like the walls might crumble if she touched them too fast. The kitchen still had her childhood drawings on the fridge. The living room had the same needlepoint pillows and china cats. Upstairs, the narrow hallway stretched out like a memory, and at the very end, a locked door. She paused. It had always been there. She remembered asking once as a kid what was behind it. Just storage, Grandma had said. Nothing worth poking around in. But now something felt different, like the house had been waiting for her to come back, to ask again. The key was inside the music box. Mara found it while packing up the dresser in Grandma's bedroom, beneath a folded lace handkerchief and a faded photograph of a woman Mara didn't recognize. When she opened the music box, the soft tune played, Claire de Lune, and the key rattled slightly beneath the velvet lining. It was brass. Small. Her heart skipped. She knew, instinctively, where it belonged. Back in the hallway, her fingers hesitated over the doorknob. She half expected it to resist, but it clicked open with surprising ease, like the house had been waiting for this moment too. What lay beyond made her breath catch. The air inside was still, heavy, not with dust but with time. Everything was neat, preserved, as though the room had been frozen mid-thought. There was a single bed, carefully made, a writing desk with curled papers, sketches on the wall, charcoal portraits of hands, birds, and women with solemn eyes. A faded record player sat quietly in the corner, and above the bed on the shelf sat a photograph. A girl, maybe 20, with long hair and a distant, uncertain smile. On the back, in Grandma's delicate handwriting, Elise, 1947. Mara frowned. She had never heard that name before. The next hours passed in quiet discovery. Mara opened drawers, careful not to disturb too much. She wasn't ready to fully unpack this ghost yet. In the bottom drawer of the writing desk, she found them. Letters, dozens, bound with a blue ribbon, all addressed to my dearest Elise, all signed Mom. They were written between 1965 and 1968, a tight 3-year window. The handwriting wavered between elegant and panicked. Some were barely legible, as though written through tears. Open quote. Elise, I don't know where you are. I hope this finds you. I keep writing even though I know you may never see these words. Maybe I just need to say them somewhere. Close quote. Open quote. I never should have made you choose between art and family, between him and me. Close quote. They tell me to move on, that it's too late, but you're still here. In this house, in this room, in every brushstroke. Close quote. One letter simply read, open quote, I hear your music in my sleep. Close quote. Mara felt dizzy. Who was Elise? Why had no one in her family ever spoken of her? Why was this room locked for all those years, yet preserved like a shrine? She sat on the floor, the letters around her like petals. The silence of the room wasn't empty. It was waiting to be read. Mara didn't sleep that night. She lay awake on the old couch downstairs, the letters stacked beside her like quiet companions. She had tried calling her mother, but the call went unanswered. Not unusual, not intentional. Just her mother. Always distant, always careful. But now, things didn't add up. Why had no one mentioned Elise? Not during childhood stories, not in old photo albums, not even in moments of loss or reminiscence. This wasn't forgetfulness, this was erasure. The next morning, Mara searched deeper. In the attic, she found a shoebox labeled only E. Inside, sketches, postcards, a faded red scarf that still smelled faintly of turpentine and perfume. One postcard was never sent. It read, open quote, "New York is louder than I thought, but the art school is everything. I painted for 6 hours straight yesterday. I kept wishing you'd walk in the door." Close quote. Open quote. "I still hear your voice in my head, telling me to be careful. But I'm not sorry I left, Mom. I'm not sorry I stayed." Close quote. There was no date. But the handwriting matched the signatures on the sketches. Mara tucked the scarf into her jacket pocket and whispered the name again. Elise, a woman with dreams, a sister no one spoke of. A silence passed down like furniture. Back in the room, Mara noticed the record player. It looked old but functional. Next to it, in a paper sleeve labeled Elise Private, was a vinyl. She placed it on the turntable, lowered the needle, and held her breath. There was a crackle. Then, a soft voice. Open quote. "Testing. Okay. Hi. If you're hearing this, you found my room." Close quote. Elise's voice was young, nervous, unpolished, but there was something magnetic in it, something real. Open quote. "I recorded this because I didn't know how to say things out loud. Not to her, not to anyone." Close quote. Open quote. "I know I hurt you, Mom. I know leaving felt like betrayal, but I couldn't stay in a place that didn't see me, that didn't let me breathe." Close quote. Open quote. "I painted you, all the time, even when I said I wouldn't." Close quote. Then came silence, and finally, music. Elise began to sing, soft, raw, beautiful. A song about home, regret, and the longing to be remembered. Mara sat on the edge of the bed, tears sliding down her cheek. This was a voice that had waited decades to be heard. And now, someone was listening. Mara finally got through to her mother. At first, there was hesitation, then silence, then something cracked. Open quote. "How much do you know?" her mother asked. Close quote. Open quote. "Enough," Mara whispered quote. A long exhale on the other end of the line. Open quote. "She was my sister. She died before I turned 7. I only remember the music and the way Mom stopped saying her name after the funeral." Close quote. Open quote. "She wasn't erased out of cruelty," her mother added. "It was grief. Pure, unbearable grief." Close quote. Mara closed her eyes. "But that room," open quote. "She locked it the day Elise died. Never went in again. But she never cleaned it out either." Close quote, open quote. "She kept the key in her music box. I used to hear it playing when she thought no one was listening." Close quote. They both sat in the quiet. 2 generations, separated by time, connected by a voice that never left. Open quote. "She mattered," Mara finally said. Close quote. Open quote. "She did," her mother whispered back. Close quote. The next day, Mara placed the record player by the window, opened the curtains wide, and let Elise's song drift into the light. Mara didn't stop there. She scanned Elise's letters and drawings. She began building a small archive, digital and physical, dedicated to Elise's art and voice. She even wrote an essay for a local art journal, "The Forgotten Sister: Preserving Hidden Women in Family History." Strangers emailed her. One woman said her own mother had been institutionalized in the 1960s for wanting to become a poet. A man said his grandmother once studied at the same art school in New York. Someone recognized Elise's painting style, said one of her works might have been exhibited anonymously under a teacher's name. Every thread stitched Elise back into the world. Mara didn't seek closure. She sought presence. She hung one of Elise's paintings in her apartment, the one of the woman reaching out of a dark window, hand outstretched toward the sky. It reminded Mara of herself. Not because she was lost, but because she was reaching too. And now someone was reaching back. Weeks passed, then months. Mara visited the house regularly. She didn't change the room, just kept it open. A quiet place, a sacred place. She brought in fresh flowers, played the vinyl every Sunday morning, Sometimes she'd sit in the corner and journal, whispering thoughts into the silence like prayers. One autumn afternoon, she brought her mother. They didn't say much. They just stood inside the room, letting it breathe for the first time in decades. Her mother touched the photo on the shelf, then sat on the bed. For a long time, she just stared at the wall. Then she said, "She was always the brave one." Mara held her mother's hand. "She waited for us," she said, "all this time." Some rooms are meant to be opened. Some voices are meant to return. Elise never truly left. She just waited for someone to remember how to listen. There are rooms in every family, quiet, locked places, where pain was hidden and names were lost. But silence isn't the same as healing, and forgetting is never the same as peace. Thank you for listening to Soulful Tales. If this story moved you, please consider subscribing, liking, or leaving a comment. And maybe, just maybe, open a door that's been closed too long. You never know what love might still be waiting there.